Begin the Gemara today on Daf Mem Amud Beis, about 10 lines up from the bottom of the Yomud. Okay, it said in the Mishnah, Manali biyadcha, the person is claiming, you owe me a maneh, and he responds, Ein lecha biyadi, I don't owe you anything, potter. So in such a case, you potter. The Shavuos, to swear, is only by a meideh b'miktsas if he admits part of the claim. But if he's a kaifer hakayil, if he denies the entire claim, he's going to be potter. Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman said about this, but umashbiyin oisai Shavuos heses. But nevertheless, the Chachamim instituted that the defendant does have to swear, and this Shavuos is referred to as a Shavuos heses. What does the word heses mean? So here, Rashi explains the word heses means a Shavuos that's placed upon the person to swear. And this is something that the Chachamim instituted, and the Gemara will explain in a moment why. There's another place where Rashi says that the word heses means to try to persuade the person that he's going to have to swear in order to try to persuade him to admit that he owes this money, if he owes it. Okay, now this Shavuos was instituted in the time of the Gemara. In the time of the Mishnah, there wasn't the takana of the Shavuos yet, but in the Zman Gemara, Chachamim instituted that one has to swear even if he denies the entire claim. Now, my time, what was the reason for instituting this? Because Chazakeh, we have the following presumption. Ein adam teveya elam ken yesh lo yalov. A person would not demand money from someone unless there's something to it, unless he owes it to him. If you see that someone approached someone in the street and says, you owe me $100, you owe me $1,000, there's a chazakah, there's a presumption, a logical presumption that he probably owes him the money. Otherwise, he wouldn't just demand the money from him. So therefore, based on this chazakah, it's enough of a reason to not to be mechayev him to pay, but that he would have to swear about this subject. We're towards the bottom of Mem Amud Beis. Okay, but now the Gemara asks in this, just like you have this chazakah, this presumption, but Adarab, I'll tell you on the contrary. Chazakah, there's also a chazakah that ein adam meis pana b'fnei bal chayvei. A person does not have the chutzpah to deny money that he owes a lender. So if this person is denying this money that it's being claimed from him, why? Why is he denying this that he owes? Because he doesn't owe it. If he would be'emes have borrowed the money from this person, he wouldn't have the chutzpah to just deny it. If he's a kaifer hakayil, that itself is a chazakah. Also, there should be a presumption here that he doesn't owe the money. So you have a chazakah that normal people don't go and demand money that's not owed to them, and you also have a chazakah that normal people don't deny if they actually owe the money. So we're back to square one. So why should we be mechayev this person to swear in such a case where he denies the entire claim? Says the Gemara, no, this second chazakah we just said is not such a strong chazakah at all. Because ishtamuti hu dekam ishtametle. When he is denying the claim, it's not because he has the chutzpah to deny and he doesn't want to pay. Rather, he's just trying to avoid payment now. Because Savar, he thinks to himself, havali, until I'll have the money, uparanale, and then when I'll have the money, I'll pay him. But now he doesn't have the money, so he's denying the claim. So this is something that happens. People that don't have money, so they end up denying, and then what could end up happening is, once he denies, he may not end up paying at all. So therefore, Chachamim say there is a chazakah that the money is owed, because ein adam teveya elam ken yesh lo, and when this person denied, there could be a reason that he denied, and there's no presumption here that if he's denying, it's probably true. And so therefore, Chacham instituted that he has to swear for this, to prove his denial, to prove that what he's saying is true. This is all the takanas Chachamim. In Torah, though, when a person does deny the claim entirely, we do apply this svara of ein adam meis pana b'fnei bal chayvei. This svara, the Gemara says here, that a person is trying to avoid payment and therefore he's denying. Min Torah, this is only applied when a person is meideh b'miktsas. If a person is meideh b'miktsas, he's admitting to part of the loan, then we say the reason he's not admitting to the entire loan is because he's trying to avoid paying, he doesn't have money. But midrabanan, they added, and they saw in later generations that people were ready to deny the entire loan when they don't have what to pay right now. So therefore, Chachamim were misakin midrabanan here that you have to swear in this case as well.
So in other words, the whole thing or the mix is always that.
Correct, but the meideh b'miktsas is a shvuah min Torah, and when one is a kaifer hakayil, he denies the whole thing. Here, there's a shvuas hesis midrabanan that was instituted bisman Gemara. Now take that, the Gemara says, I'll prove you this point here. that there's this concept that when a person denies, he's only denying because he's trying to avoid payment, and it's not an indication that what he's saying is necessarily true. A person that denies a loan, and now it turns out that he lied about this. Adam came and said that he owes the money. Kasher leidus. He will still be kasher for Eidus, and we're not going to say, oh, look, this person denied a loan that he clearly owes, and he's a liar, and such a person is usually pasal Eidus, Eid Chamos, one that lies regarding money matters, is trying to steal, is pasal Eidus, but regarding a loan, we're not going to say such a thing. But however, if he denied a deposit that was claimed from him, and now Adam came and said that he has the deposit, over here, pasal Eidus. Over here, if he was caught by this lie, he will be pasal for Eidus. What's the reason for this? Because by the loan, we're going to say that when he denied owing it, he wasn't really coming to deny this and not pay. He was just trying to avoid payment now. So therefore, he's not pasal Eidus. We're not going to assume that he's a liar. But regarding a pekadon, we're talking about a pekadon that we know that he has in his possession right now, and he's denying it. Adam come and say he has it right now. Why did he deny this? He should have just paid it. The answer is he's a liar, and therefore he's pasal Eidus. So we clearly see that regarding a loan, there's this concept where a person is just trying to avoid payment. This is one version of where this halacha of Rav Nachman was brought. On this case of the Mishnah, where it spoke about a person that was a kaifer hakol, there was a claim of 100 of a money, and he denied the whole thing. Rav Chavive masni asefer. Rav Chavive taught this halacha of Rav Nachman on a case later in the Mishnah. And the Mishnah later says a case where a person said, "Mana libi yotcha, you owe me $100." And then, when the claim was made originally, the person admitted. He said, "Yes, I owe you this money." The next day, he says, "So pay me now this money." And he says, now he denies the whole thing. He says, "Nesativ loch, I already paid it to you yesterday." So the Mishnah says, "Pater." He's pater if he claims that he paid it in between from when he admitted yesterday to today. So then we accept his response, and he's pater. And over here as well, he's a kaifer hakol. Now he's denying owing anything, so therefore he's pater completely. There's no shavua. Now on this, Rav Nachman says he's a kaifer hakol, so minat Torah there's no shavua. But a mashbiyanai says shavuos heses. But Chachamim instituted that he will have to swear the shavuos heses for this claim, for this that he denies the whole thing. So now the Gemara says, what's the difference if you say that Rav Nachman said his halacha on the simple case of a kaifer hakol, he never originally admitted everything, or this case where yesterday he admitted and today he claims that he paid the whole thing. So man the masniya reisha, the one that teaches the din of Rav Nachman on the reisha of the Mishnah, kol shekena seifa, it would definitely apply to the seifa of the Mishnah. In the seifa of the Mishnah where he originally admitted that he owes the money, and then the next day he now denies the whole thing, there's more of an indication here that this money was owed. And therefore, definitely in this case, Rav Nachman would say that he has to make this shavuos heses to pater himself. But according to the second version, that the din of Rav Nachman was said only on the seifa of the Mishnah, so the reason why it was taught only on the seifa of the Mishnah is because here there is some source, there's some connection to this money that's being claimed from him. Because yesterday he himself admitted that he owes this money, and today he's coming that he paid it all, saying that he paid it all. Here is where I say that he'll have to swear to pater himself. Aval hasam. But on the reisha of the Mishnah, deleke drara de mamayna, there's no reason, there's no basis to think that he owes the money. Loi, over here, he will not have to swear. So according to this version, the svar of chazaka ein adam teveya elam ken yeshloi, that to say that he's chayev v'shua just because there's a claim, and the claim itself creates a status, a chazaka, that he owes the money, that doesn't work. There has to be some indication in the response of the defendant that shows us that there was a money owed over here. And therefore, only in the Sefer will he have to swear, because he originally did admit to owing this money. Says the Gemara, now, if you have to swear, whether you're admitting part, like the case of all the cases of the Mishnah, and now the Gemara is saying that you have to swear even in a case where you denied the whole thing, and Chachamim instituted to swear. So you have to swear in both cases. So what is the difference, though, between this shvuah and this shvuah? There's a discussion in the Rishayim when the Gemara here asks about shvuah derabanan, as we'll see in the continuation of the Masechta. This is one kind of shvuah derabanan that, as I mentioned, was instituted only bizman ha-Gemara. There's many other shvuahs derabanan that Chachamim instituted, and it's brought in the Mishnah later, bizman ha-Mishnah. There's a discussion whether when the Gemara here is discussing Shavuot D'Rabbanan, is it only referring to this Shavuot, the Shavuos Heses, or is it referring to other Shavuos D'Rabbanan as well that are brought in the Mishnah later? Okay, so the Gemara brings a few different ways of explaining what the difference would be. So, one way of explaining it is, the difference is Meipach Shavuot, whether you can turn over the Shavuot, whether you can transfer the Shavuot to the claimant. And the claimant is coming and he's demanding from you this money, and now the defendant would have to swear to pater himself. What happens if the defendant says, I'm not interested in swearing. If you want, you could swear that I owe you the money, and then I'll pay you. So is this an option? Could if the claimant would be ready to swear and take? Usually when you swear, you're swearing to pati yourself. By Shmuel and Atayda, definitely the halacha of swearing is to swear and pati yourself of paying. But over here, if the defendant says to the claimant, you swear and then collect the money, can that be done? So b'da'iraisa loy mafchinon. By Shmuel and Atayda, that's not an option. You're chayiv to swear, and if you're not going to swear, you're chayiv to pay. You can't turn it around to the claimant and say, you swear instead. If you're not going to be ready to swear, you have to pay. However, b'shuva b'drabanan, when Chachamim instituted that one should swear, mafchinon, here is where the defendant could say to the claimant, I'm not swearing. If you want, you could swear and collect the money from me. Right? Which means that the Shvuah min HaTorah is a much stronger obligation to swear. If he's not going to swear, he's going to have to pay. That's one way to explain the difference. The Shvuah b'drabanan is much more lenient. Now, Olamar bar Ravashi, however, Mar bar Ravashi disagrees with this. The Omar, he said, "B'da'iraisa nami mavchinon." Even regarding the Shavuos min HaTorah, the defendant has this option to turn to the claimant and say, "You know what? You swear and collect the money." So if that's the case, mavchina Shavuos, we have this option to transfer over the Shavuos from the defendant to the claimant. So then, my ikka ben da'iraisa l'Rabbanan. So what would be a difference between the obligation to swear min HaTorah or min Rabbanan? Says the Gemara, another difference. The difference would be mechas lenichse. In a case where the person that has to swear to pater himself is not swearing, will the Bezdin now go down to his properties and collect the money from him by force? If there's a shvuah min HaTorah and he's not swearing, the Bezdin will go to his properties and confiscate money to get paid. But by shvuah min Rabbanan, he's obligated to swear. But if he doesn't, Bezdin will not take money from him by force. Now, this as well, the Gemara brings, there's an argument about this. Well, Rabbi Yosi says about this, that even regarding something that Chachamim institute, and the person is not following, the Bezdin will confiscate money from him by force. Where do we see this? The Tananis, we learned in the Mishnah, Mitzias Cheresh Shoyte V'Katan, a lost object that was found by a Cheresh Shoyte V'Katan that min HaTorah do not have the ability to acquire. However, Yesh B'em Gezel Mipnei Darkei Shalom. If you steal from them, then you're considered to be a gazlan, you're stealing. Why? Because Chachamim instituted for Darkei Shalom that it should be peaceful, that people shouldn't come and grab away from a Cheresh Shoyte or a Katan. Rabbi Yosi says that it's not just a gezel that is darkei shalom, but it's gezel gomer. It's you're considered to be a complete thief when you steal from a cheresh shoyte v'katan, even if min HaTorah they don't have the ability to acquire. Chachamim gave them a status of a full owner and is gezel gomer. Now, so what is the explanation of the machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yosi? Tanakama also says that it's gezel. Rabbi Yosi adds that it's gezel gomer. It's a complete gezel. What's the difference? Rav Chisda explains, gezel gomor, when Rabbi Yosi says that it's gezel gomor, he doesn't mean min HaTorah, it means midivreim. Min HaTorah, they don't have the ability to acquire anything. Midrabana, they instituted that it's a full gezel. Lamai nafkimina. What's the difference if it's just gezel mipnei darkei shalom or it's gezel gomor? Lo hitziyai b'dayanan. Whether judges will now come and take it away from the person by force. So, which means that Rabbi Yosi is saying, even regarding this halacha that Chachamim instituted, that if you steal from a cheresh shoyte v'katan, that you're a gazlan, the Bezdin will come to your house, to your property, and confiscate and take it away from you. So, if so, the same applies over here regarding the obligation to swear midrabanan. That just like when you're obligated to swear min HaTorah and the person is not swearing, the Bezdin will come and confiscate his money. The same is by a shvuah midrabanan. If so, my ikke ben da'iraisa l'drabanan. So what would be a difference between a shvuah min HaTorah or a shvuah midrabanan? So the Gemara gives another difference. Ikke beinayu, the difference would be shekenegdoi choshud ala shvuah. In a case where the one that is there standing against you, he is suspected of swearing falsely. So in such a case, if he's suspected of swearing falsely, he cannot swear. So what do you do in such a case? Abchinan lei shvua v'samu ha'idach. The shvua now is transferred over to the claimant, that he will have the ability to swear to come and collect money. If the defendant cannot swear to pater himself because he's suspected of lying, because of something that happened in the past, like the example the Gemara brought before, the person that denied having a deposit and then it turns out that he does have it. So such a kind of person cannot swear. So in such a case, chashud, the shvua now goes to the claimant that let him swear and collect the money. So this idea of by a chashud al shvua, that we transfer the shvua onto the claimant, that's only by a shvua min ha-Torah. And b'derabanan, however, by a shvua b'derabanan takantihi, because the entire idea that you swear here is all what Chachamim instituted, v'takante l'takante loy avdinan. The Chachamim should institute one thing, and then on this they should institute a second thing that they did not do. If it's possible for this person to swear, so then he's obligated to swear to pater himself. If he can't swear, he'll be pater even without swearing. We're not going to obligate the claimant to swear in order to collect the money. That's only by a shvua midrabanan, correct? Because it's a takana litakana. The whole thing of swearing in the first place is a takana. So Chachamim did not institute a second takana, a secondary takana on the first takana, that if he can't swear, that the claimant should be obligated to swear. By minatayre takanta takanta lo yavdina. By minatayre though, there is, if the defendant is a chashud, if he is suspected and he can't swear, then the claimant will swear instead of him and collect his money. Now, the Gemara goes back to explain the point that was brought up before regarding the mitzvah of a cheresh of a cotton, or similar over here regarding a shvuah, where the Gemara said that since it's only midrabanan, the bezdin will not collect money by force. So what do you do in such a case? Chachamim make a takana. There has to be some kind of a way for them to enforce their takana, even if the Chacham will not come and will not allow the bezdin to go and collect money against the will of the person. So what do they do? According to the Rabbanan that argue with Rabbi Yossi, the Amru and the Rabbanan say that bid the Rabbanan le'nachsina le'nichsei, since it's only a rabbinical decree, they will not go down to the person's property by force. So ma'av dinalei. So what do you do to enforce their takana? Says the Gemara, mishamtinalei. They put this person into an excommunication until he pays what the Chachamim say that he's obligated to pay. And that would apply here regarding the Shvuah as well. If the person is obligated to swear and he's not going to swear, then the Chachamim will come and they're not going to go to his properties, but they're going to put him into a chayrim, which will force him to pay. Ravina so Ravina says to Ravashi about this, he can't say that they go so far. Because if that's the case, because this is really forcing the person to pay. It's like grabbing the person by his testicles until he leaves his garment alone and gives you his garment. So you're forcing him. What's the difference between this and what Rabbi Yossi says, that the bezdin comes and forces the person to pay? So elamai of dinalei. So therefore he said, what is it that you do to this person that's not following the decree or what Chachamim instituted? Amalei. So he said, what do you do? Mishamtinalei. He is placed into a chayrim, but to a limited degree. Ad matizman, until the time comes, which a chayrim is for 30 days, and then nagdei, and then he gets lashes. V'nagdinalei, and we give him lashes for not following what the Chachamim said. But then v'shafkinalei, we leave him. We don't press matters any further. We don't actually force him to pay, but we do try to pressure him by putting him into this shamta for 30 days. Amar Rav Papa said, Anu alacha, Haiman da apik shtar al chavre, a person that takes out a document and shows his friend and says, here, this document says you owe me money. V'amalei, and his friend responds and says, Shtara paruahu. This document, yes, it's true, I borrowed the money, but I paid it already. But he has no proof to the fact that he paid it. And the document is in the possession of the lender. Usually, if the borrower paid, then the document would not be in the possession of the lender. He would take back that document. So now, in such a case, Amrinan lei, we say to the lender, Lav kol keminach, we say to the borrower, that is, Lav kol keminach, you not believe, zil shlim, you have to pay. The lender has a document that proves that you owe the money. Now, but if the borrower responds and says, Lishtabali, let the lender swear to me that I didn't pay yet. So we say to the lender, Ishtabale, you're going to be obligated to swear that he still owes you the money, even though he has this document and there's no proof of any payment at all. On the contrary, the fact that the document is still in the possession of the lender, it's an indication that it was not paid yet. But nevertheless, if the borrower says, I want him to swear that I didn't pay him yet, he will have to swear. So Ravacha asks Ravashi on this, if this is the case, if this is what you say regarding any valid document that is proving that the money is owed, so if so, what would be any difference between this case and another case that it says in the Mishnah in Ksubis, which is called a shtar that has a pagam to it, which has been what's the word they have for pagam there? That it's a blemish to the shtar, or that it's there's sort of a defect, huh?
Impairs.
The shtar is impaired, as something like a defect to the shtar. What's the case of a shtar with a defect? So the example that the Gemara talks about in Ksubis is a ksubah, which is a shtar. That the Isha, a woman has a ksubah, that the money that she's owed. And the husband says to her, this ksubah that you have, I paid this already. Now the Isha has the ksubah in her possession, which proves that it was not paid yet. But she admits to her husband, yeah, part of the ksubah was paid, but it wasn't paid fully. Now the very fact that she admitted that part of it was paid, so that's paigim, the validity of this ksubah. We see that she already received part of the payment. In such a case, the Mishnah there says that she will have to swear that she didn't get the full payment. So now, if that's the din, only by this kind of a document where there is some defect to this document because there was a partial admittance that she was paid, so then over here now we're saying that this applies by any valid document that you would have to swear. If the borrower says, I want him to swear before I pay him, so why are we saying that this is only by paigim l'shtari? Amalei, so Ravashi answered, there's a difference. Hasam, by the case where she admitted that part of it was paid, even if the borrower or the husband is claiming, does not claim anything, we will taina that this kind of a document, that the woman or the person holding the document admits that part of it was paid, we will say that now you can't collect with it without swearing that this is still valid. But we will taina. But hacha over here in this case by a fully valid document, we say to the borrower, you must pay. Only if he will come and request and say, Ishtabali, swear for me that I did not pay you yet, only then will we say that you have to swear before you collect this payment. Here, the Gemara says that there's an exception for this. If, however, this person that's holding this document in his hands is a Talmud Chacham, we're not going to force him to swear before he collects this money, because we're not suspecting this Talmud Chacham that he would take out the shtar to collect if the money was not owed to him. But Amalei Rav Yemi says to Rav Ashi about this, a Talmud Chacham is allowed to grab clothing off of people. Meaning, even if he's a Talmud Chacham, but if this is the rule, that if a person is demanding that you should swear before you collect, so it should apply to a Talmud Chacham as well. How are we changing the halacha and letting him get off the hook that he should not have to swear at all, and just allowing him to collect money? So Ella, the Gemara explains what he meant to say is, Loi mizdakekinen leiladine. We're not going to allow him to collect the money, but we're also not going to make him swear in order to collect this money, because this embarrasses a Talmud Chacham that he has to swear that you're suspecting him. He's taking out a valid document, seemingly a valid document, and you're making him swear about this. We're not going to force him to swear, but on the other hand, we're also not going to force him to. We're not going to go to the din Torah. We're not going to do anything about this din Torah. We're going to leave it as is without attending to this. Going back to the Mishnah, it said in the Mishnah, "Manali biyotcha chulu." So in the Mishnah, it said the case of Manali biyotcha. Okay, the Gemara here will bring the continuation of the Mishnah, as we'll see, but first the Gemara brings a machlekes amirayim. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Asi, and Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav Asi, Hamalve es chaveiroi be'edim. You lent money to someone in the presence of witnesses. So then, sarach l'poyre be'edim. The payment also has to be in the presence of witnesses, which would then mean if the borrower comes and claims that I paid you, and he can't bring witnesses to prove this, he will not be believed. He has to have witnesses to prove that he paid. Now, so Rav Yehuda said, when I said this halacha of Rav Asi in front of Shmuel, Amali, Shmuel said to me, the borrower could say, yeah, I have to pay you in front of witnesses. I did. I paid you in front of 2 witnesses. But and those 2 witnesses are gone. They're overseas. I don't have them here. He's able to say this. So if he's able to say that he did pay in front of witnesses and they're now gone, so as the Rishonim add, that means that he can practically also come and claim that I paid you, even without any witnesses at all, because there's a migu. When a person claims that I paid you without witnesses, he will be believed, since he could have claimed that he paid in front of witnesses and the witnesses are gone, and then he would have been believed. So too, if he says, I paid you without any witnesses, he'll be believed as well. So now, what did it say in the Mishnah? So here the Gemara brings the full statement in the Mishnah. That's a question. So Tana, the Mishnah said, Mana libi yotcha, a person says to his friend, you owe me a mana. Amalei hain, and he responded, yes, I owe you this money. Lamachar, the next day Amalei Taneili says, so pay me. And what does he answer? Nesativlach. I paid it to you already. So in such a case, the Mishnah says, Potter will be Potter to pay. He's a kaifer akayel and he's Potter. Now, what's the case over here? V'hahacha, over here in this case, kivim the tovei be'edim. When he came to him the day before and he claimed the money from him, it was in the presence of Edim. If it was not in the presence of Edim, then there's nothing to talk about. Then there's no shaila about the next day. It was in front of Edim. So command the Eisve Be'edim Dami. So now the Gemara understands, if that's the case, it's like he lent him the money with Edim. And what does the Mishnah here say? Although he claimed the money from him in front of Edim, the Katani, the Mishnah says that the next day when the borrower says, I paid you, he's believed, Potter. He's believed to say he paid and he's Potter. So this is a question on Rav Asi that says that if you're borrowing with Edim, you must pay with Edim. In this case though, the money was claimed from him in front of Edim and he doesn't have to pay with Edim. Rav Asi, it refutes what Rav Asi said. Rav Asi, so the Gemara explains, Rav Asi will answer, no, it's actually not the same. Ano, ki amri, when did I say the halacha that if you borrow with Edim, you have to pay with Edim? That's only if when the person lent the money, he lent only in the presence of Edim. That shows that he does not trust this person. If he's lending the money and he says, wait, I'm not lending you the money unless we have witnesses here. That's as if he's making a clear condition that I don't trust you unless we're only relying on witnesses. So just like we see this here when he lent him the money, so he did not trust him. That means that if he wants to claim that he paid, he'll also have to prove it with Edim. The lender made it clear that I don't trust you, I only trust the words of Edim. That's why he has to pay with Edim. It's like a clear condition. But over here in this case that we brought from the Mishnah, he originally lent them the money without Edim. That means that he shows that he believes this person. The fact that today, when he came to claim the money from him, he brought Edim, that's later. But originally he lent them the money without Edim, and therefore the borrower is able to claim that he paid without Edim as well. This is one version of this machlekes of Rav Asi and Shmuel. Rav Yosef Masna Hachi. Rav Yosef taught this machlekes as follows. That Rav Asi Rav Asi says the opposite. That if you lend a person money in the presence of Edim, you do not have to pay in front of Edim. It's not considered to be like a condition that I'm not going to trust you and you must pay me with Edim. No, you can pay him. You can claim that he paid him even without Edim. However, if the lender clearly made a condition, he said, I will not trust you that you paid me unless there's Edim. You must pay me with witnesses, then he must pay him with Edim, and he will not be believed to claim that he paid. Okay, Lisa Kamei de Shmuel. So now, when this was said in front of Shmuel, Shmuel said to Rav Yehuda, even in this case as well, the borrower will be believed to say, I paid you in front of 2 Edim, and those 2 Edim are gone, they went overseas. Okay, so he does have to pay in front of Edim, because he made a clear condition. But he can say, the Edim that I paid in front of them, I don't have them here, those Edim are gone, and I'll be believed to say this. Okay, but in this case though, he will not be believed to say that I paid you without Edim at all. As I mentioned before, according to the first lashon, that there's a migu. In this case, there's a clear condition. He must pay in front of Edim. The moment he says, I prayed without Edim, so then he's going to have to pay. But he is believed to say that I paid in front of Edim, like the condition was, but those Edim are gone. Now, on this version, the Gemara asks from another case in the Mishnah. So Tanan, the Mishnah says, Mana li biyadcha, you owe me a mana. Amaloi, and he responds and says, hey, true, I owe you this mana. So Amaloi, al tetneili ela b'fnei Edom. Pay me only in front of Edom. L'machar Amaloi, the next day he says to him, Teneyuli, pay it to me. And he answers and says, Nasativ lach, I paid it. Chayev, he'll be chayev. Why? Mipnei shetzarech litin le'be'edim. He made a clear condition with him. He didn't just claim the money from him in front of Edom. He made a clear condition with him that it should be paid in front of Edom. What does the Mishnah say? So the next day he can't claim that he paid it. He's going to be chayiv mipnei shetzarech litin le'be'edim. To Yufta de Shmuel, this refutes what Shmuel says, that he could come and claim that the Edom that I paid it in front of them, they're gone. They're not here. They went to Medina Sayyam. Right, so Taisus over here adds and says, the Lashon of the Mishnah, it says, Shetzarech litin loy be'edim is mashma, that he has to actually produce those Edom. He has to bring and show that he paid it in front of Edom. It's not enough to say that I paid it in front of Edom, those Edom are overseas. So therefore this refutes what Shmuel says. So Shmuel will answer, you're right, the Mishnah clearly says that he will not be believed unless he brings the Edom. But Tanai, there's a machlokes Tanaim about this. In my opinion, I have a source from a brayse. The Tanya in a brayse we learned, the Edom il visicha. A person comes and says to his friend, I lent you money in front of Edom. And be'edom parali. And therefore, if you claim that you paid me, bring Edom that you actually paid me. So in such a case, oy yitein, oy yaviraye shenosan. Or he pays now, or he has to bring Edom that he actually paid. So if he lent the money to him with Edom, he's going to have to produce Edom that he actually paid. Like the opinion of Rav Asi, basically. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Oimer, however, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says, Yochel loy maloi, the borrower could say, Paraticha b'fnei pleni, pleni v'achal al medina sayam. I paid you and the Edom are overseas, exactly like Shmuel said. So here, Shmuel's opinion is Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira's opinion. But the Gemara asks in this Braisa is not a source for Shmuel. Parech Rav Ache or Rav Achoi asked in this, Mimai, how do you know that this Braisa is speaking about the case that we're discussing here? Mimai de b'shas halva koi. How do you know that the case over here is that at the time of the loan, the lender is saying that I'm lending you the money with Edom on the condition that you're going to pay me in front of Edom. That's not the language of the Braisa. Dilme b'shas tfiya koi. In the Lashon of the Braisa, this is not at the time of the loan. This is later, when he's coming and claiming to come and collect. And this is what the lender is saying. La be'edim hol visicha. Didn't I lend you the money in the presence of Edom? So be'edim hayalachal pareni. And therefore he's saying to the borrower, you should have really paid me in front of Edom. But there was no condition, there was no clear condition that was made here at the time of the loan itself. Aval b'shas halva, if there was a clear condition at the time of the loan itself, everybody, even Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, would agree that if he cannot produce the Edom that he paid, he would be chayiv to pay. So therefore, there's no source here in this brayse from Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira's opinion to what Shmuel said, that even when there was a clear condition, you don't have to bring Edom because you can claim that I paid in front of Edom, but they're gone. They went to Medina Sayyam. What's the halacha regarding this? Omer Rav Papi Mishmei de Rava. Rav Papi says in the name of Rava Hilchase, the halacha is Amal ves Chavere be'edim. If you lent money in the presence of Edom, tzarich l'payre be'edim. You must pay back also in the presence of Edom. However, Rav Papa Mishmei de Rava, Amar Rav Papa said in the name of Rava that Amal ves Chavere be'edim, when you lend money in the presence of Edom, but there was no clear condition made about the payment, ein tzarich l'payre be'edim. You do not have to pay in the presence of Edom. However, if there was a clear condition that was made, the lender says, Al tefre'eni ela be'edim, you must pay him in front of Edom, then tzarich l'payre be'edim. He must pay him in front of witnesses. Ve'im amaloi, peraticha b'fnei pleni u'pleni v'holcha lehem le'medina sayam. And if he claims and says that I paid you in front of these two Edom and they went overseas, Nemon, he will be believed. Seemingly, the Gemara is paskening like Shmuel. There's other Yishayim though that are guided in the Gemara ein in Amon. He will not be believed. The Gemara before brought our Mishnah that is not like Shmuel. Therefore, some are guided say ein in Amon, not like Shmuel, that he will not be believed. Okay, here the Gemara brings a bunch of different stories of actual cases that happened and the halacha. And the Gemara brings a siman, Reuven v'Shimon, the Tano Hilchase Yasvi Opara Pliny Avtzis Tiroi Behemnusa Kebeitrei. Okay, so the first story is Ahudam Leilachavre. A person said to his friend, Kiparatin, when you pay me the loan, pardon li ba'api Reuven v'Shimon. Pay me in front of these two people, these two witnesses, Reuven and Shimon. So Azal upare ba'apitre ma'alma. This person went and paid up the loan, but not in front of Reuven and Shimon. He paid it in front of another two witnesses. Amar Abaye, so Abaye says, Ba'api betrei al malay. He made a condition with him that he should pay in front of two witnesses, and Ba'api betrei pare. And he paid him in front of two witnesses. It's not Reuven and Shimon, but that wasn't the point. The point is that he should pay in front of witnesses. Amalei Rave, but Ravi said, no, that the condition was very specific. Lahachi ka'amalei ba'api Reuven v'Shimon. This is why he specified and said, I want that you should pay only in front of Reuven and Shimon. In order that he shouldn't push him off and say, I paid in front of other two witnesses, and that those witnesses are not here now. Or even if they are here now, according to the simple pshat in the Gemara, the way Rashi learns this Gemara, the condition that the lender makes has the ability to passel any other Eidim. That only Reuven v'Shimon will be considered to be kosher Eidim for proving the payment of this loan. Any other Eidim are not kosher at all. Or other Rishonim say that the person is claiming that he paid in front of other two witnesses, and those two witnesses are overseas. So therefore he says Reuven v'Shimon, because he knows Reuven and Shimon are not going overseas. So you have to bring dafke Reuven and Shimon. Another case, person said to his friend, Kiparis li, when you pay me, paranli ba'api beitrei detano hilchase. Pay me in front of two people that learn halachas. In other words, I want you to pay me in front of two talmidei chachamim. So azal parei, ben delay le delay. He went and paid the lender privately, without any edim and without talmidei chachamim. Now, what happened after the payment? Itnisu hanach zuzi. The money that he paid him, some einus happened, and the money was lost. So now Asla Kamei Rav Nachman, they came in front of Rav Nachman about this. So Amalei, the lender, said, in Kibuli Kablasinu Minei, I got the payment from him, so he admitted that he got the payment. But Derech Pekodin, when I got the payment from him, this wasn't really as a payment. I took the money from him, and I was holding the money that was just as a deposit. Va'amire, and I said, Lehevi Gaboy Pekodin, let this money be in my possession only as a deposit, not yet as a payment, because the condition that I made for the payment was not fulfilled yet. Adam Isramu Beitrei, the Tano Hilchase, until there'll be two Talmidei Chachamim that learn halachas, and then the condition will be fulfilled, and I'll bring those two Talmidei Chachamim, and it'll be a payment. It'll be a proper payment, but until then, it's just a pekadon. So therefore, what is this lender now saying? I was holding it in my possession only as a pekadon, as a shem mechinam. I wasn't paid to hold it in my possession, and therefore, now that an einus happened, so whose responsibility is it for this loss of this money? The borrower. He has to not come and pay me again this money. I never really got paid. Amalei, so Rav Nachman said to this lender, no, it just doesn't work this way. You admit that you got this money from him. It's considered to be a perfect payment. If you say that the condition has to be fulfilled, that he has to pay the money only in front of Eidim that are Talmidei Chachamim, so you know what? Zil, I sinu, go bring that money that he paid you already. Bring back that money. Rav Nachman says, I'm here, and Rav Sheshes is here, and we are very good Talmidei Chachamim. The Tanina, Hilchase, V'Sifra, V'Sifri, V'Tesefta, V'Kula Tamuda, we learned all the halachas and the Sifri, and the whole Gemara, and he'll give you the money in our presence. So bring that money that he already paid you and give it back to him, and he'll give it to you in our presence. You can't bring the money because it got lost, that's your problem. The payment is considered to be a payment. Another case of a person said to his friend, give me the $100 that I lent you. The person responded, this never happened. So Azal, the lender went, I see Sadi, he brought witnesses, the Oisvei, that he did borrow the money, but uparai. The Eidim, however, also said that he did pay back this loan. But what was the claim of the borrower, the borrower, so to speak? He said, borrow, I never borrowed any money. So Abaye says about this kind of case, my Navid, what should we do here? We can't obligate him to pay. Inu Amri Yaisvei, true, we have Eidim that contradict the person that says that he never borrowed the money. They say that he did borrow, but Inu Amri Pare. But these Eidim also say that he paid. So therefore, in such a case, he's going to be pater. Rav Amar, however, Rav says, the person that admitted himself that he never borrowed the money, that means that he is clearly admitting that he never paid the money. Nobody pays if you don't borrow. So if he admitted that he didn't borrow, that means that he didn't pay either. So even though Eidim are testifying that he did pay, but if he is admitting that he did not pay, his Haidas Baldin, which is Kameya Eidim Dami, his admitting is stronger than the Eidim, it'll obligate him to pay, even while the Eidim say that he did not, that he did pay. Okay, one more case for today. A person says to his friend, Havli, pay me the $100 that I'm collecting from you, that you owe me. Amalei, so the person responds and says, Loi praticha b'fnei ploini uploini? Did I not pay you in front of these two individuals? Now also ploini uploini, those two individuals came. Amri, and they said, no, lo hayidvar amaylam. He never paid the loan in our presence. So Rav Sheshes Lameimar, so Rav Sheshes thought to say about such a case, Hochsa Kafra. This person now has been verified to be a liar. He says he paid in front of these two Edom, and it's clear that he did not pay in front of these two Edom. He won't be believed now to deny that he owes this money, even if he would swear now to say the Shavuos that we spoke about before, the Shavuos Hesses, he would not be believed anymore because he's caught in a lie. Amalei Rave, but Rave said about this, we don't say such a thing. Kol milse, the leiram yalei de inish, something that is not something that's very important to a person, lava daite. It's not something that he necessarily realizes and remembers. So like here in this case, since over here in this case, the lender never made it clear at the time of the loan itself that there's a condition that you must pay me in front of Adam. There was no such a condition. He knew he had to pay. So therefore, he made sure to pay. He thought that there was these two people there, and really they were not there. That's something that he may make a mistake about that. So it's not a raya that this person is an outright liar. And therefore, in this case, he will be believed. He's not hochsa kafran. If he says he paid and he swears that he paid, he'll be believed about this. Okay.